Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So on the agenda tonight, we have the legend that is John Fogerty. And this is going to be coming from 2014, so some recent stuff here. And he's going to be playing through Long As I Can See the Light. So let's get John up on screen and see how he gets on. I'm just going to jump in here because I just want to watch it the whole way through, which is always the case when you're watching John play and perform. And vocally, let's just throw this out there for a second because John is about 69 in this video, maybe 69, 70, around that age, and he's still busting out these vocals. I mean, we're talking for vocalists out there watching this video, we're talking about an A here, I mean A5 I'm talking about here, and that he just threw out a B5 as well. So he's just a semitone off that high C, that tenor high C, which is just crazy in terms of hearing somebody do it this well. What tends to happen with vocalists especially, I mean, John's a really special case because, you know, he's a songwriter, he's a great lead guitarist, a guitar player, just all-round composer, but just fantastic vocalist as well. And so many vocalists, when they get to their later years, have to drop the keys, have to take it down. Like Fortunate Son, for example, still belting that out. It's absolutely crazy. It's just crazy good that he can still get these vocals absolutely spot on. And when you listen back to some of those Creedence tracks, and by the way, if you don't know Creedence Clearwater Revival, this is the guy, this is the voice, this is the writer. He's that triple threat or quadruple threat threat, or producer as well. So however many threats you want to have, just put a number in there. That's the kind of threat that John is, because he is an absolute all-round musician and all-round artist. But getting back to those Creedence tracks, you can be forgiven for thinking, especially back in the day, hearing that vocal, you might think that, oh, this guy, he's going to burn his voice out and he's never going to be able to last because he's got such a great voice and so much emotion in there. And this is what you tend to find, that guys back in the day who are hitting these lead vocal lines of an A5, B5, C5 as well, they have to make that concession later in their career because of that fatigue and obviously getting older and the vocal cords not being quite as pliable as they were or elastic as they used to be. They have to make that concession in terms of keys. But John, he still maintained that flexibility in his voice, and his tone has changed over time, but by no way is it any worse than it was before. He can still get that expression in there. Another thing I always mention is that singing and playing at the same time always doubles the difficulty, and here John's just throwing in a few little lead lines in between his vocal, but of course he plays at the same time as well. You get a lot of artists that can do it, not necessarily as well as John can with his vocal and also his lead guitar playing. Let's not ignore that, because he can lay down such a great guitar line that absolutely suits his writing, absolutely suits the track. He'll always throw something in there that absolutely fits it. Just imagine Fortunate Son, just hear that intro in your head, just iconic guitar lines. It doesn't have to be a million notes a second to absolutely hit a chord with most of the population. So many people will know what that run is straight away, will know that intro riff because it is so iconic. And the rarest thing of all is to get someone who can play the guitar to a high standard, sing, has got a great voice, but then the hardest thing of all, write songs. And I always say it, that is the hardest thing, because that's where you earn your money, being able to connect with an audience on a fundamental level that you can speak to them and they want to hear you telling that story. And that's something that John absolutely has in spades. And it's one of those things that everyone would give their left arm to have that. As a musician, to be able to just pen a hit every time you pick up that pen, start writing something down. John's hit rate is absolutely astonishing. But let's get back into it. There we have it. I just want to make a quick point about John. The fact that he started in such a great place in terms of having that ability on the guitar, but also having that voice as well. But he also never stood still. We have an expression in this country called resting on your laurels, which basically means once you've achieved a degree or something like, a hit in music, you then just relax and you think, well, I've done my job. I don't need to work anymore. I'll just take a back seat and relax. And that's just the opposite of John. He's one of those guys that is just always pushing forward, always looking for another great melody vocally, but also another great riff on the guitar, another great song, just something to get down, to connect with a lot of people. And that's something that John absolutely does all the time. Like I mentioned before, he's still on tour. Later this year, you can go out and watch this guy still getting out there performing, now into his 70s, mid-70s approaching. So what a guy, just that professional attitude and just a musician through and through. Let's just quickly dive into the elements of that solo and the way that John plays. He threw in that hybrid picking there, which you could see holding the pick between the first finger and thumb, and then using that second finger, third finger to then play those higher strings. We did have in a little section there, John using that octave pedal, where you open the pedal, it's going to take it an octave higher, and then when you close it, it's going to come back down to where you started, exactly the same as a wah-wah. But this is now related to pitch. And I mentioned this in another video, the Digitech Whammy, which is a little piece of kit which does this. It'll give you a little pedal and you can move up an octave. You can also take it down an octave, which is one of those things that if you don't have a Floyd Rose or something on your guitar to do a dive bomb, you can use the pedal to get that similar effect. And the key to John's lead playing is not that he's playing a million notes a second. He hasn't spent hours and hours and hours and days and months and years in a room practicing one guitar line. He's just played melodically. He's approached the guitar like he approaches his vocals in terms of getting down a melodic line that you can repeat in your head, and you can even repeat vocally if you want to sing it back. And those are always the most impressive lines and the most memorable lines. In all the hits of all time, you will have a guitar solo. And actually, you'll have any instrument, even a saxophone sometimes, you'll have in a particular song that you can repeat back. You hear it in your head, you can sing it back, because it's a melodic solo, no matter what the instrument. Always happens on the big tracks. And the reason why these slower melodic solos connect with so many more people is because the top players can turn their guitar into a voice. And how many times have you spoken to someone and they've spoken to you at 20 words per second at that speed? It would just be too fast to understand. You can't comprehend it. Whereas, same thing with the guitar. It's great to have little bits of speed dabbled in here and there to change it up a bit. But on the whole, you want an audience to be able to listen to your guitar and understand it as a voice. So once you pair that great technique into expression to give that guitar a voice, and then you pair it with great melody, that's what you're looking to do. That's the ultimate goal, to get a melody and a guitar part in a song that absolutely sits in there and is like another voice. You will see that with all the top guitar players. Whenever they play a solo, you never get bored because you're listening to the voice of the guitar, and then it'll come back to the vocal. Of course, in John's case, he's then coming back to his own vocal because he's got that ability. And I always say this, when you're watching a top artist like we are here, you never are aware of all of these little elements that are coming together because it is so well done. You then get the art, you then get to listen to the music and enjoy the music. There are so many tiny elements that have to be absolutely spot on in order to reach that goal of then putting something across that is so expressive and so easy to listen to. Certainly, John is one of those guys that I'm probably going to revisit in the future, maybe get into his history a little bit, because he's had such a long, successful career, written so many hits. Of course, his stuff with Creedence that I'd like to get into as well. But for this video, it's just pointing out the elements that John throws together in order to reach that ultimate goal of writing a hit and being able to connect with so many people vocally as well as using that voice that he's got on his guitar. But thank you so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!